Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another Student Zone session here at Build 2020. We're really excited to have you here. I can see already that there are people from all around the world tuning in right now, so that's extra exciting. As a reminder, I wanted to make sure that you all were aware of our Microsoft Code of Conduct for digital events, particularly Build 2020. Basically, it says, please just be kind. We're all friends here. Be friendly. We're all here to learn and create a friendly, happy community. And now it is my pleasure to introduce InstaFluff. InstaFluff is also known as the comfiest live coder and mug chef on Twitch. He did a session earlier for us on how to build a social shareboard. Videos for that will be up later on our GitHub repo. But now he's going to tell us how we can actually contribute to this shareboard so that you can be a part of Microsoft's Build 2020 digital history. So welcome, InstaFluff. Thank you so much for joining us.
Cool. Hello. How's it going, everybody? Welcome back. I hope you guys have been enjoying Microsoft Build to Student Zone. There have been amazing sessions since then. Oh, dang. I hope you guys are excited. This time what we're going to do is take our social shareboard code that we did before and then explain and walk through how to actually use GitHub and do pull requests and make our own little notes to post on the social shareboard, which will be live on our GitHub repository, which is, I think it's github.com/Microsoft/student-zone, right? Oh, no, students at build. I think that's the one.
It is, and I'll paste it in the chat for everyone.
Yeah, and so if you guys aren't familiar with Twitch and me, my name is InstaFluff, and I'm a live coder on Twitch. I'm a member of the live coders team. There's actually a whole bunch of us on stream, and we build, bots and games and Twitch integrated things and tools, even like a chat translator bot that translates and detects languages that aren't English or whatever the streamer's language is, and then it translates it for you in real time. And if you guys are interested in doing more cool things with Azure, there's actually an Azure Developer YouTube series that you can also look up, where I've done a whole bunch of explanations on really cool things like Sherman, which you'll be able to see in another session in a little bit, in a couple hours. And so if you guys have any questions about what I'm doing today, feel free to ask in chat, and Sarah's going to help me moderate. And so don't be shy. All right. And so with that, we're going to get started. Okay, so here, what I have here is, I need to bring it up. So I'm going to bring up my GitHub app. This is the desktop. Oh, hold on. Professional streamer. All right, so here's the right scene. Here is the GitHub Desktop App. If you guys aren't familiar with GitHub yet, then you guys are in the right session here, because GitHub is where you can actually check in, or what it means is like you can put in all of your code and have it be stored up on the cloud. And not only that, it'll keep track of all of your code histories. So like anytime you make a change, or anytime you want to collaborate with other people and have that be much easier than like zipping up your files and then sending it over and then getting it back with changes and figuring out what's different. That's where GitHub really helps. It's a version control is kind of like the term for it. And so what I have here opened is the Students at Build. And if you guys would like to see the Students at Build GitHub repository, it's right here. It's at Microsoft/Students at Build. And so from the last session, we created a folder called Social 2020. And the Social 2020 folder is where our social shareboard is going to go. We're going to create a note inside this folder for every single one of us, and then it'll compile. And this is the step where we're going to compile it into a shareboard.markdown, shareboard.md, and it'll have all of our notes compiled together in one thing. And it'll have things like notes like this is InstaFluff at Microsoft Build, or here's my favorite piece of code, or oh yeah, my Dodo code doesn't work anymore. But I hope you guys enjoyed the Animal Crossing, and if you guys want to check out the samples that we did just to catch you up, all you got to do is write a note like this. It's in Markdown form, which means it's just a very, very simple text format. So like if you put in a hashtag, number sign, whatever you want to call it, space, and then your name or your note, this is kind of like the title. It'll turn it into big letters. And then if you want to add a quote, you can use a greater than sign. And then if you want to put any other text, you can just put it here, and it'll show up in normal text size. It's kind of like this. So like name was the big header size. Here's the quote, and here's the regular text. And so let me show you what we have to do. So if you guys would like to know, I don't know how much, I'm sure there's a bunch of folks here that already know a lot about GitHub. And so please don't be offended if I'm going to explain a little bit too much, but I'd rather explain too much than too little. And so what GitHub is with the repository is like repositories are the actual projects that we work on. And so each project has a bunch of different files, and we can share those projects with other people. And so what we can do, and what's really cool about GitHub, is that we can create copies of projects and then make changes, and then just have the differences that we've made in the little changes that we've made, and have it also pushed back. This is like have it also integrate back into the original project. And that's kind of like at the core of open source software. It's like if you can make your own changes without worrying about what other people are doing yet, and have all of your features or anything that you want to do, and make those without worrying about any other people making changes into your own same sort of code or files, then it'll make us much more efficient. And so the first thing we need to do when we make a pull request, and I'll get into more of that in a bit, is we have to fork it. Fork means to make a own copy of your Microsoft Students at Build repository. So I'm going to create a fork, and I'll put it into InstaFluff right here. And then just like that, it'll take a few seconds.
You must do the fork dance though every time you click.
Oh, the fork dance. Heck yeah. And so just like that, now I have my own copy of the Students at Build. And so everything here is, it's literally the same files and everything. And if you guys remember from earlier, we had InstaFluff, and I put in the Dodo code, and this Dodo code doesn't really apply anymore. And so I might want to change that, right? I might want to say, okay, this has been edited. So this is what I'll do. So normally we can also create it inside different editors like this. We can change the editors and everything, but on GitHub, you can actually edit files directly within. So I'm gonna edit this file with this pencil, and then I can erase this and update it and scroll down here, and I'll say, okay, removed Dodo code, expired Dodo code. Then I will create commit changes. You can add titles and descriptions. And normally when you want to make a commit, you want to create a title so that it's really for our own references and other developers' references, so that they know what happened in that change. And so commits can be across a bunch of different files, or it can be just one file. It could just be a README change, or even just like a typo change. But one of the things that you want to do and remember to do is to commit often. So the cool thing about Git is like you don't have to worry about how many changes you make, and as long as you commit them, and commit is kind of like when you make a set of changes and then you want to push it to the cloud, then you can commit, which is kind of like packaging up a little bit of like the small changes that you did into one set, and you can make a whole bunch of these sets, and then you can push them. And so it looks kind of like this. You have in our tool, you can commit to master, and then you can push here. And so what I'll show you here is I committed it, right? And so I'll show you what this looks like in my desktop. So switch to desktop. Yes, GitHub Desktop App. And then it should load it. Oh no, I closed it. Yes, open it again. All right, this folder contains files. Oh yeah, because I have the official one here too. So I will say this one is going to be Students at Build 2. It's going to be my version of the Students at Build repository. And then you'll see in the history, this is the removed expired Dodo code that I committed to my repository. But if you go to the official one at github.com/Microsoft/students@build, then the cool thing is you don't have to worry about bothering other people's code or breaking anything. See, it's like these are the commits on the original Students@Build repository, but on mine, it'll say your branch is one commit ahead of master, and on mine I have the expired Dodo code, and so just like that, now I have made changes to my own version of the project, and then I can actually make a pull request. And so pull requests here is pretty simple. It's a very simple idea. It's basically that anything that I've done to my own version of the repository or my version of the project, then I want to actually let the original project owners know and see if they'd like those changes and have them also accept them back. And so what you have to do is, now that we've made it in this copy, this is version 1. This is like where I added the expired Dodo code and I said, okay, I'm going to remove that. And then we can go to the original repository and create new pull request. And that, oh, wait, oops, hold on, I take it back. I need to do it here. So you take it and then you do new pull request, and then it will automatically detect all of the changes that you've done that's compared to the original project, the original repository. And then it says, okay, these are the commits. If you have multiple different package sets, like of commits, then it'll show them all here, and it'll show you which changes you've made. The green ones or the blue ones here are the ones are kind of like information. There's green ones that'll show like code or changes that you've made that's been added, and the red lines are the ones that have been removed. So I've removed these 2 lines, as you can tell, and then I can say create pull request, and just like that. It's pretty easy, right? Like it's just a bunch of clicks, and then we can create an entire copy of another project, an open source project, anywhere on GitHub. So this doesn't apply just to Students@Build. If you guys want to make a copy of any sort of projects that are on GitHub, all the open source projects, including mine on like github.com/instafluff, then all you have to do is fork, and that's all you have to do to start making changes, and especially changes that you might want to see in a project. And then you can create a pull request to suggest it back and say, hey, look, I made this cool change, or I added this new feature. Would you like to also put it into the original project so that other people can also get it? And so this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do removed expired Dodo code. And then we'll put a description in here. And these descriptions are really important because this is what all of the original project owners will be able to review and say and decide whether or not it seems to be good, and or if changes need to be made. And so this change removes the expired Dodo code from the first session at MS Build 2020. Yeah. Then you can create a pull request, and voila. And then it does a whole bunch of checks, and if it says this branch has no conflicts with the base branch, that's the best thing. That's the best thing that you can see. So right now I see all of these buttons and everything because I'm also a contributor, or I have access to as an owner of the Students@Build repository. But normally you wouldn't see this button, but you would see the other stuff. You would see like all checks have passed. The branch has no conflicts with the base branch, and the status of it, and then you might see other people adding comments, or if you're trying to also accept a pull request, then you might also leave comments, and you might also want to kind of look at what the changes were, which you can by clicking the actual change itself. You can say, oh yeah, they removed these 2 lines of code, looks right, and everything looks great. And one of the biggest things that you want to do before you merge or send the pull request is to test it. And so here, I want to confirm merge, like that. And then that should be it. that means the actual original version of the project at Microsoft/Students at Build will have the change that I've made. Look at that. Merge pull request to remove expired Dodo code. And that means now the actual official repository has that. And so this is our chance to make pull requests. So this is what we're going to do today. What we're going to do is have you guys make a pull request of individual notes. So what I mentioned before is we have different notes like this in the Social 2020/notes folder, and we have notes of like InstaFluff was at Build 2020, Student Zone Hype, and I love lasagna. And so if you guys want to make something like that, then all you got to do is fork this repository over here and then add another note. So I'll show you what we can do to add another note. I'm going to open this folder, and then we go to the notes folder here. Can you guys see it? The notes folder. And what you can do is actually just take the sample or the test and just copy and duplicate it, just like that. And then one of the things that we want to do is to make sure that the markdown file is unique. The reason we want to keep it unique is that way it doesn't have it doesn't conflict with a lot of the other files that other people might also be pointing and like submitting as a change. So like if you also made an instafluff.md file here, then it's going to try and merge it and then realize that there's also another instafluff.md file in there, for instance. And so you want to try and make an MD file that's named something unique. And then we can say something like instafluff 2020, for instance. And then all you got to do is edit it. And so let me open this. And then I'm actually not going to commit this one, but I just wanted to show you what you have to do to create a note. So here we can say this is note number 2. And then we can have all of this other stuff. And then you can see the changes and you can commit this one, and then you can push it. And then after that, you follow the new pull requests and everything. And if you guys would like to also see these steps, I've actually put all of that inside the instructions in the README inside that folder. So if some of these don't make too much sense, or if you forget a step anywhere along this, then you can also always go back to the GitHub repository, and inside the README here, you'll see the instructions on how to submit a note to the social shareboard. And so it says, create a new markdown file, and then you can create a name for it, and then commit and push the changes, and then create a pull request. And so this is what we're going to try. We're going to go through a couple of the pull requests that have already been made and see if we can create a shareboard out of it. And so
hey, and before we go through some of those, do you think we could try to simulate a conflict?
Oh, sure.
Maybe
yeah,
you and I
can
can both try to push a change to something that's conflicting or something.
So I can probably change, let's see. What I could do.
So what I could do is I could merge my pull request.
Okay.
And then if you want to, before you pull the changes, you can try to create a file called sguthels.md with different code and try to push that.
That's great.
So basically what is happening, everyone, is I'm going to make a change on the real Students at Build folder or online on the GitHub repository. So I'm going to make a change. I'm going to merge my pull requests. And InstaFluff doesn't have those changes on his local branch. And he's about to make a sguthels.md file, which I've already made and I've already merged. So you can actually see my file. It's right here. I'll put the link in the chat. You can see my file there. And InstaFluff is about to try to commit or open up a pull request with changes to that same file that don't take into account the changes I made.
So what you'll see here, this is the commit that Sarah did with the pull request for her card. It looks like this. And so it's named scuttles at or .md. And so Sarah was at MS Build 2020. Build 2020 has been so much fun. And so now it's been successfully merged and closed. But in my version of the repository, I gotta go back to it. In my version, I don't have that. I don't have Sarah's notes. And so what I did here is I've made one. I made the same file name, and then I need to go to my GitHub app here. So this is the exact same, basically the same thing that I was doing through the web browser interface. So what I'm going to do here, instead of just editing it directly through the web browser, I'm going to commit using the desktop app. So here, what I can say is testing Sarah's note. Then I'm going to commit to master, and I'm going to push to origin. And pushing means it's actually now finalized on the cloud, which means that then now you don't have to worry about your computer crashing or your hard drive failing because it's safe up on the GitHub servers. And so anytime if you go to any sort of other computer and just get that same repository and download it back out, you can clone or download this green button, then you'll have that same code because now it's been pushed. It's over on the cloud. And so this is the InstaFluff Students at Build. This is my fork, my copy of the repository. So now I'm going to create a pull request. And when I create this, then it says, ooh, can't automatically merge because we have a conflict. We have a conflict because, and so discuss and review the changes. And so what we can do is we can compare across forks. Here we go.
And something I mentioned down in the chat is that there's a lot of different ways to resolve merge conflicts. This is kind of going through the path of resolving the merge conflict in the browser, but there are also ways that you can resolve it in the terminal, in GitHub Desktop, or even in VS Code sometimes if you've got the right extensions set up. So
you'll see it. I'm going to create a pull request, and then we should be able to see the conflict. So let's try it. And then it'll say, this branch has conflicts that needs to be resolved because there's conflicting files. There's two of the same files. And so that's why you don't see the, as the owner of, or one of the contributors of the repository, I'm not able to just merge it right away because we have to resolve conflicts. And so we can either use the web editor or the command line. I think we can try with the web editor and it'll show us. And here's what kind of you'll see if there's a conflict. So there's different sections. This is kind of like the section of the change that you've made where it says master, and then you'll have the arrow signs or the less than signs to the equal signs. They're kind of like blocks that separate out your changes from the conflicting changes. And so in here, these are the original changes that are also already pushed into the main repository. And so this is the conflict. And what we can do is we can, to resolve it, remove the changes that I was trying to put in, and then I can mark it as resolved, just like that. And then I can commit this merge. And yes, I'll commit to master. Yes, committing merge.
Awesome.
And just like that, there it is. There it is.
Thank
now.
You.
Now from this change that used to say this is the second Ethguthel's MD file. After we resolve that conflict, now it looks like this. It looks like the original version. And then we can merge the pull request if you like. And so I'm not going to do that because it's already been there. And
yep.
This, yeah, but there's a whole bunch of pull requests. And so if you guys want to make a note, then feel free to make a pull request. We have a whole bunch of these already. This is amazing.
We do.
Oh my goodness, thank you guys.
Yes,
And
please continue to make open up pull requests, make notes. We're starting to run out of time for this one, but InstaFluff and I are going to be monitoring this GitHub repo, approving your pull requests, commenting on them, and creating this social shareboard that'll be inside of that folder after build to live on.
yeah.
So make sure that you do that. There was like a couple more questions after a pull request is approved. Should you delete your fork? Honestly, it depends on the project you're on. For this one, yeah, you could. I mean, there's not much else that's going to be going on here. But if it oftentimes when you're contributing to an open source project, you're going to contribute more than once. So you probably want to keep your fork around. And then could you use your registration ID to definitely guarantee there's no conflicts? You know, there's not necessarily a way to always guarantee that there's never a conflict in merges in general on GitHub. If you want to use your registration ID for this one, though, yes, that would be a good way to do it because it's unique. So I highly recommend that you check out all of our resources on aka.ms/students@build. I also want to encourage you to please fill out this anonymous survey at aka.ms/studentzone2020 survey. We have a specific code. It's COM220. Sorry, COM220. I added that extra 0 in there. COM220, and we're going to be pasting that into the Q&A chat shortly. So please make sure that you fill out the survey because it allows us to figure out if you're enjoying the content. If you're not, then we want to build content that you will enjoy. If you are, we want to build more of that. So please fill out this anonymous survey so that we can make sure that we are making things for you. And again, please make sure that you check out aka.ms/students@build. And before you go, we have a very, very special guest who's going to kick us off into the next 2-hour chunk of keynotes and things like that. So I want to introduce you to our special guest, Crazy Aunt Lindsay. Lindsay, I'll pass it off to you.
Well, thank you so much, Sarah. Hello, everyone, and thank you so much to InstaFluff, my absolute favorite live coder on Twitch. If you're not following him, you absolutely should. These last few sessions with him have been such a treat for me, as is becoming a part of Microsoft's, Microsoft Build's digital history. You can add your code to our shareboard by going over to our GitHub repo, aka.ms/students@build. I believe you can catch that link in the comment section just to the right of your screen. I can't wait to see your code there. I might do a little bit, add a little bit myself too, just so I can be a part of that history. So who the heck am I? I'm YouTube's Crazy Aunt Lindsay. I'm the creator and host of the kids YouTube series, The Fab Lab with Crazy Aunt Lindsay, where I make videos that get kids super into STEM. A couple weeks ago, I actually worked with Scott Hanselman, who you've been seeing all throughout the past couple of hours, working in the Make Code Game Maker with kids. So you can check that video out on my YouTube channel /the Fab Lab HQ if you have some little ones who you want to get immersed in code, if your students are between the ages of kindergarten and 5th grade. Now, what is up next? Over the next 2 hours, you're going to have the opportunity to watch some awesome reruns of the keynotes, a whole session on Azure, an overview of Microsoft Teams, the Graph and Fluid framework. But before you go do that, let's stand up together and do a little bit of a stretch. I don't know about you, but I've been sitting for hours and hours and hours diving into all this amazing content.
Oh gosh.
Just stand on up. I see you doing it, Sarah. Stand up, reach super high in the sky,
Yes.
see my belly button. And while you're up, why don't you go and grab a glass of water? My water is right there.
Mine's empty.
Oh, go fill it up, girl. I'm going to get a sip of water, but you can go grab a snack, a whole meal if you have not eaten yet. I was seeing in the comments that we've got people from all over the world. So depending upon where you are, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. When you're done with that, meet us back here for those 2 hours of rerun content. And then in 2 hours, you'll see my bud, Scott Hanselman, as well as Luann Murphy and InstaFluff yet again. They'll be delivering some awesome breakout sessions, so make sure you attend. If you want to see me again, follow me on Twitter at Aunt Lindsay. You can also visit me at ilindsay.murphy.com. But I will also be meeting with my girl Sarah tomorrow morning for the Studying Images Like NASA session, and I can't wait to see you there.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. Thank you everyone for joining us, and we can't wait to see you in the next, what is it, like 40 hours, 30 hours? I don't even know now. We'll see you all soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye, everybody.